You live a lifetime with other people, but one day you realize that what you really want is space to hear your own heart. It doesn't always come with a big splash. Sometimes it comes subtly, like the quiet of early morning when the house is quiet and the phone doesn't ring. And in that silence, something unexpected occurs. After years of noise, you don't feel alone. Instead, you feel calm and peaceful. It's not about running away, it's about coming home to your own rhythm, your own thoughts, your own kind of quiet joy. And if that thought has been circling your heart lately, you're not alone. For many older adults, raising children, hosting holidays, and answering to everyone else brings about a new kind of stillness that doesn't ask for your energy, but gives it back to you. This is the moment when a question arises, not aloud but deep down. Am I ready to live alone? Perhaps your soul is gently asking for space to breathe, rest, and simply be. It's not about running away. In this video, we'll explore 12 gentle signs that you may already be feeling. Gentle reminders that living alone could be the most peaceful and powerful decision of this chapter in your life. I hope you'll stick with me through to the end because the 12th sign is one that most people overlook, but it may be the one that truly tells you not just to live alone, but to truly live well. More and more people after 60 are realizing that solitude is not something to be afraid of, but something to grow into with grace. As we get older, many of us start to notice a subtle shift. We no longer need noise to feel alive, and the television doesn't have to hum in the background. Sign number 1 is that you value stillness more than ever. There's a sort of quiet that doesn't seem empty. It feels restorative. As a grandmother in her early 60s, named Anna, recently remarked, "I love my grandchildren, but when they left after the weekend, I sat down, took a breath, and felt relief. The house doesn't need to be filled with voices or movement. Instead, quiet becomes a companion and a nice one." That's when I realized I needed more peace in my life. It's not about avoiding others or preferring to be alone because you're depressed. Rather, it's about realizing that your body and mind are subtly requesting tenderness for rest after decades of providing for others. If you find yourself searching for that peace rising, this type of quiet isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of calm, the place where your mind are free to roam, where your memories come flooding back like old friends, and where your spirit can finally let go. The world may not always understand this shift, but your heart and soul do, and in that sacred silence, you might be hearing the first sign that you're ready to live alone. Number 2, you find your own company enough. There's something subtly powerful about realizing that you enjoy your own company, not in a loud, defiant way, but in the soft, steady rhythm of daily life. You find joy in cooking your meals just the way you like them. You're not withdrawing, you're arriving. You no longer wait for someone to join you for a walk or to switch on the radio for background noise. Instead, you lose track of time in the garden, your hands in the dirt, your thoughts floating above you like clouds. You're just happy. One day, a man named Robert 70 wrote, "I thought I needed people all the time, but now that I'm sitting in my small yard with a drink of lemonade and a book, I feel complete." That kind of peace doesn't come from being distracted. It comes from being settled, from knowing that you are enough, because you're busy or surrounded, but because you're at ease with who you are. For many, this feeling doesn't appear suddenly. It grows gently like a plant finding the sun. And when it does, it's a clear sign you've built a relationship with yourself, one that is steady, rich, and kind. If being alone no longer feels lonely, if it feels restorative, even comforting, then your own presence might be the one you've been waiting for all along, and perhaps without even noticing it, you've already begun to build a life that's truly your own. Sign number 3, you've learned to set boundaries. There comes a time when you no longer apologize for needing space. You've spent so many years saying yes, yes to visitors, yes to favors, yes to expectations that quietly chipped away at your peace. But now something in you has changed. You begin to notice how certain voices drain you, how certain routines no longer feel right. You feel a tug in your chest when your boundaries are crossed, even in small ways, and instead of brushing it off, you pause, you listen. Alice, "I started to lose the feeling of being myself even in my own home," a woman in her mid-60s once remarked. That quiet loss of identity or inner clarity is frequently the wake-up call. It's not about shoving others away, but rather about drawing a soft boundary around your well-being. You learn to appreciate the areas where you're living alone. Isn't about being alone. It's about choosing environments where your peace isn't constantly negotiated. It's the quiet knowing that your well-being matters not just to others but also deeply to yourself. If you felt the need to set boundaries to protect your peace, Let me know in the comments because your bravery might inspire someone else to respect their own space. Your voice doesn't have to be louder to be heard, where your choices aren't questioned, and where you can sit in your favorite chair and read what you love without feeling the need to explain. Sign number 4, you want to be in charge of your time and space. There comes a time when you don't want to justify why you like to eat dinner at 5 o'clock or why you turn off the TV most nights. You just want to live your life as you see fit, deciding how you spend your time and what your daily routine looks like for years or even decades. You've made accommodations, made concessions on schedules, meals, background noise, and even the layout of a room. But suddenly you sense a strong need to feel at your own pace again, not out of disobedience. A woman said, "I don't want to argue about what to watch or when to clean the kitchen. I want to light a candle, put on soft music and eat dinner when I'm hungry, not when the clock says I should." Living alone may be just what your spirit needs because no one rushes you, no one reorganizes the things you've carefully placed, and no one questions your stillness. It may seem straightforward, but it's profoundly profound when you start to crave that kind of autonomy, not for control but for peace. The 5th sign is that you no longer want to be a full-time caregiver. There is a silent truth that many people carry, but few express out loud. The weariness of constantly taking care of others for years, or even most of your life. You are the one who stayed up late, remembered appointments, and performed the quiet labor without anyone noticing you. You decide what matters today, and in that quiet freedom you start to feel something rare, not just comfort but sovereignty. The soft, steady kind that only comes when your time, space, and energy belong entirely to you, provided your love, strength, patience, and presence. But now that the days are slowing down and your body is requesting rest, a new voice is starting to emerge. "I need space to take care of myself." A woman named Adana shared this in private after losing her husband. "I realized that I didn't want to be responsible for someone else's well-being anymore. I just wanted to wake up and not be needed." There is no bitterness or selfishness in that. It's just honesty because although noble, caring for someone else's needs all day long wears even the strongest shoulders. You're not failing anyone, you're finally hearing yourself. Perhaps you find joy in helping occasionally, but not constantly. Perhaps you want to cook because you're inspired, not because someone is waiting. If this resonates with you, it's a powerful sign. Living alone can be a gentle transition from always giving to learning how to receive. Listen to your own needs and rest guilt-free, because after a lifetime of caring for others, it's okay to prioritize your own needs. However, sign number 6. You want to age on your own terms. At some point, aging stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you choose to go through with intention, not with fear or resignation, but with quiet clarity. You start to realize that you should slow down, even when you feel strongly that your decisions need to be softened or second-guessed. But deep down you sense something different. You want to age us, but on your own terms, choosing when to ask for help, when to rest, when to speak, and when to just be. A woman in her 70s once said, "I don't want someone to tell me when I need a walker. I'll know, and when that day comes, I'll say it myself." Living alone for some people becomes a way to protect that voice, to live by your own rhythm, to age with grace rather than performance, to adapt without apology, to accept support when needed, without giving up who you are, and perhaps most beautifully, it allows you to grow older, not as a shadow of who you once were, but as a deeper, fuller version of yourself. That's not resistance, that's dignity. If you're prepared to mature with your own voice and decisions, share it in the comments section by typing numbers. Someone else could be inspired to accept their dignity by your story. 7th sign. You long for a new beginning. Occasionally something new rather than loss or sadness indicates change. You look around the house you've known for years, the routines that used to soothe you, and something inside of you says, "I'm ready for a new chapter." It can begin with a tiny notion and involve a gradual transformation, a space that feels more like yours, and a pace that reflects who you are today rather than who you were before. Relocating to a smaller area, repainting the walls, and getting rid of things that don't make sense. As one man mentioned, buying a new sketchbook that he hadn't drawn in years, but he did every night with a little jazz playing in the background. He drew and felt alive during those peaceful hours. A new beginning, sometimes it's about reaching back to a part of yourself that has been quietly waiting behind the cacophony beneath the roles, beneath the years. It's not always about leaving everything behind. Living alone isn't merely a conclusion, it's an opportunity to find your creativity. So if you feel the need to start anew, no matter how modest, it may be one of the most obvious indications that you're ready. Your bravery, your curiosity, and never forget that choosing joy is something you can do at any time. The 8th sign. You crave for simplicity. because there comes a point in life when having more isn't always better. When your schedule is hectic, your drawers are full, and there's constant noise, everything starts to weigh you down. At that point, simplicity feels refreshing. It's not just about tidying your home. It's also about making room in your heart and letting go of things that no longer serve you, like outdated furniture and outdated expectations, outdated customs and responsibilities that you have outgrown. A woman stated, "I started giving things away, not because I had to, but because I wanted to feel lighter again." And she did. Her living room became quieter. Her mornings slowed down. Her mind was clearer. The beauty of simplicity at this point in life is that it's not meaningless, rather it's deliberate. Everything you maintain has purpose. Everyone you welcome offers calm, and every decision you make becomes more deliberate as you reduce your cravings and make room for relaxation. Understanding regarding what is most important at this moment, it enables you to create a house, a rhythm, and a life in which nothing is too loud or excessive, just the right amount, and in that peaceful, uncomplicated setting, you can discover what you are missing, the freedom to be who you are. A man once said, "The first week after my partner moved into assisted living, I realized I hadn't chosen what to watch on TV in 10 years. That night I put on an undistracted sign. Number 9. You want to make decisions without compromise. There's a quiet joy in choosing without explaining, whether it's what color the walls should be when dinner is served, or whether the radio stays on or off, simply because it feels right to you. After years of adjusting to others and weighing every small choice against someone else's needs or habits, you start to notice the difference when a day is entirely your own." Vintage black and white video. I felt like myself again after making a sandwich and sitting on the floor as I used. These seemingly insignificant moments are sacred because they show that your inner compass is still strong and is still pointing you in the direction of the life that is right for you. Living alone does not imply isolating yourself. Rather, it involves carefully constructing your reality and making decisions based on clarity rather than compromise. Not only are you making decisions, but you're also taking back control of your daily life. And there's a profound sense of peace in that. If you're enjoying making decisions for yourself, please let me know in the comments section. Type number 9. You deserve a life where your preferences aren't questioned, your needs aren't secondary, and your voice doesn't have to struggle to be heard. Someone else might be motivated to recover their own voice by your story. Sign number 10. You no longer need other people to make you feel whole. You start to realize that your peace doesn't depend on someone else entering the room. It starts the moment you allow yourself to simply be. For many people, this change is subtle at first, such as when you stop reaching for the phone in the morning, or when you feel calm without talking. There's a quiet transformation that occurs when you stop looking outside yourself for completeness and realize that you don't need someone to fill the silence to affirm your worth or to lift your mood. A quiet weekend that nonetheless feels full. Once a woman said, "I used to need someone to tell me that I was doing okay, but now that I'm breathing and that I'm here, I know that I'm okay because I'm walking and feeling the sun on my face." Living alone can deepen this sense of wholeness because it creates the space to hear your own thoughts, feel your own feelings, and trust your own rhythm. You are no longer waiting for someone to finish the picture because you realize you are worthy enough to complete it. And in that realization, the quiet no longer feels lonely. It feels like home. That is not isolation. Rather, it is growth. The result of a life spent learning, giving, and finally turning inward. Sign number 11. It's not a crisis. Rather, it's a calling, a gentle invitation to rediscover who you were before the titles, before the routines, before the years of being everything to everyone. You may find yourself drawn to old interests if you want to rediscover who you are after years of being someone's mother, spouse, or caregiver. Music, hobbies you used to enjoy, dreams you put aside, or perhaps it's something completely different, like learning a language, taking a class, trying a new style of clothing, or something else entirely. A woman in her late 60s said, "I sat at my kitchen table one night and realized I couldn't remember what I actually liked, not what my family liked, not what my friends expected, just me." It was a freeing moment rather than a depressing one. Living alone can provide the ideal environment for this rediscovery because each item, hour, and choice represents who you are becoming rather than who you have had to be. As you let go of roles that no longer define you, you start to find someone even more intriguing. There's beauty in starting over, not from scratch, but from the knowledge that you are not lost, you are evolving. There is a quiet kind of joy in waking, when your body feels ready, not when the alarm goes off, in eating when you're hungry, in resting when you're tired, and in speaking only when you have something genuine to say. Over time, you may start to notice how much your body craves that natural rhythm. This is a version of yourself
that has been patiently waiting just beneath the surface, ready to. Sign number 12, a slower, gentler pace that suits your heart rather than a family pattern. You want mornings that begin in silence, in afternoons that flow, not days that are shaped by the moods, rituals, or expectations of others. One man remarked, "When I started living alone, I stopped eating lunch at noon, just because I always had. Now I eat when I'm truly hungry, and it feels like I'm finally listening to myself." There are no rush evenings that end in soft light, not in noise or negotiation. That's about connection, not control. Living alone gives you the opportunity to create a life that respects the natural ebb and flow of your energy, emotions, and needs, and that pays attention to your body, mind, and soul. When you long for that type of flow without the clocks, calm commitments, or pressure, if you're yearning for a life that follows your natural rhythm, you might already be on your way to living a life that is genuinely yours. In that rhythm, which is distinct and unhurried, you might discover a sense of harmony that makes you feel at home. Just put number 12 in the comments section to share your experience. It could inspire someone else to set their own pace. Last reflection: living alone doesn't mean being alone. Rather, it means making room for the things that are most important to you, including your rhythm and calm, your voice. If even one of these signs resonated with you today, then you might already be on the brink of something wonderful. Not a conclusion, but a return, because solitude in its purest form is about being present with yourself in an honest, undistracted, and whole. You've spent decades compromising, adapting, and giving your energy to others with grace. Perhaps it's time to show yourself the same grace by listening inward and making the quiet decision to live fully on your own terms.
There is no such thing as a perfect moment. There is no common checklist, just the inner guidance that says, "I think I'm ready." And if that voice has been becoming louder, trust it. You're not leaving life behind. Rather, you're entering a version of it that is slower, freer, and unquestionably yours. So here's our gentle invitation to you. Let these signs serve as a mirror rather than a map. You don't need permission from anyone, so ask yourself what kind of life feels peaceful right now, and if you're willing to build it one quiet, honest choice at a time. After 60, you owe no one an explanation, just a promise to yourself that the years ahead will honor who you are and who you're still becoming. Thank you for watching, and see you in your next video.